And straight ahead on Channel 6 News at 5, a New York judge makes an unusual move in the bitterly contested Attorney General's race. We'll have a full report.
Deer hunters beware. The Department of Environmental Conservation is cracking down on illegalities.
And after the recent hot streak, ski operators dream of a white Christmas to put them in the green. It's all ahead on Channel 6 News at 5.
Now, the #1 news station in the capital region. This is Channel 6 News at 5.
Good evening to you. A dramatic twist in the ongoing state attorney general's race.
Incumbent Dennis Vacco is challenging thousands of votes for Eliot Spitzer, and it's now up to New York City cops to find out if it's true. Albany News Chief Judy Sanders joins us from our Albany newsroom with today's very unusual, unprecedented development. Judy?
Well, Liz, it's still not over. Republicans claim that a percentage of 103,000 voters were ineligible to vote in the Attorney General's race because they changed addresses or because they're not U.S. citizens. Democrat Eliot Spitzer has a margin of victory of 26,011 votes over incumbent Dennis Vacco. But Republicans successfully argued that they need another week to sample how many of the questionable 103,000 votes are invalid in New York City districts. So here's what's going to happen. New York City police officers are literally going to go door to door to canvass voters. Attorneys are still working out the details of how the samples will be chosen. Republicans also asked that Vacco be declared the winner, even though he's 26,000 votes behind, or that a new election be held. But Judge Thomas Keegan denied those requests today.
But this is a very close election, and we're going down into New York City where there are races and in those election districts where Dennis Vacco lost like 100 to 1. And we're looking at that very carefully. And not only is it not unseemly, I think it's very proper for all of the voters of the state who care about an honest election, and there's nothing wrong with putting a little light on the electoral process.
Senator, do you think Spitzer can hold on and become Attorney General January 1st?
I think he's won this election. I think everybody who's ever looked at New York elections know Eliot Spitzer's won the election. It's over. Everybody but Dennis Vacco seems to know it's over.
So the attorneys will meet again in court next Monday with their sample results. The State Board of Elections, meanwhile, is ready to certify Eliot Spitzer the winner next Tuesday. A spokesman for the board said that means Spitzer would take office January 1st and the court challenges could proceed from there. But Liz, as you and I discussed, we never know what may happen on Monday that could change the Board of Elections finding on Tuesday.
A never-ending story, seems like to me, Judy. A very complicated event, especially in this day and age of instant communications. It's hard to believe that we could be going through this kind of machination to find out the results of this election.
Well, the Republicans are very thorough in their checking.
Yes, they are. Okay, especially the result looking like it does. Thank you, Judy Sanders, reporting live from the Albany newsroom tonight.
You're welcome.
And Brad, we're going to talk more about this unusual turn of events now. We're joined by State Republican Party Attorney Thomas Spargo, also now from our Albany newsroom. And Tom, thanks for being with us. And let's start out, if I can, to ask you very quickly, how did you track down these tens of thousands of potentially fraudulent votes?
What we did is a match of the voters in New York City against a national database, and we came up with a list of about 300,000 or 400,000 voters who were kicked out in this match, which is about 10% of the 3.5 million voters in New York City, which is consistent with a New York Times story that was published about 10 days ago.
Okay, so now the judge has agreed to let cops go door to door. Just are there any prerequisites that these cops have to come back with for this to move on to the step?
No, at this point, when the police report back as to whether a voter is registered at that address or is qualified otherwise to vote, what he determines and writes in his report will be binding on everybody, and there's a presumption that that voter is either valid or not valid.
Well, let's say the cops come back and say that 40% of the votes were indeed fraudulent. What happens then?
That's why we're going back in front of Judge Keegan next Monday, and that's what we're going to ask the judge.
You have no idea right now what happens if, in fact, the findings are what you say they're going to be.
Well, we're waiting to see how the numbers unfold. If they get substantially over 26,000, we'll ask that the court declare that Dennis Vacco is indeed the winner. Why? Because no one should be claiming victory by votes that were not cast, just either cranked on a machine or by people who weren't eligible or non-existent people.
Now, by law, the State Board of Elections is supposed to certify the results on Tuesday. There were 2 Democrats and 2 Republican commissioners. What happens then, say you find evidence of fraud? Do you then ask the Republican commissioners to refuse to certify?
Well, I think that's why we're going to court on Monday, so that we can present our arguments and review the facts before the State Board of Elections has to make a decision. And at that point on Tuesday, they can review the facts themselves and make whatever administrative decision they want to make.
It does sound as if this is far from over from your point of view.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Tom Spargo, thank you very much. And we want to point out we did try to get in touch with Democratic Response today, but they were unavailable or didn't return our calls.
In other news tonight, that shocking bias-related shooting in Albany is sparking a call for passage of hate crime legislation now. The call comes in the wake of the shooting of Sonia Thompson. Police say the Arbor Hill woman was shot in the neck last week by two white men who were looking for someone black to shoot. A coalition of groups says it's time now for the governor to step in and urge Senate Republicans to pass a hate crimes bill.
Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to point to the correlation. No hate crimes law, hate crimes go up.
The coalition supporting a bias-related crime bill says a new poll shows 69% of New Yorkers want a hate crime law.
It's Bill Clinton's turn tomorrow to present his case before the House Judiciary Committee. President Clinton's lawyers say they will call 14 witnesses who will testify that he should not be removed from office. The witnesses will include 3 members of the Nixon-era Judiciary Committee. They'll testify that Clinton's actions in the Monica Lewinsky case don't equal abuse of power. The lawyers say the other witnesses will testify that the facts of the case would make a normal prosecutor reluctant to bring charges. A letter from the lawyers says that White House counsel Charles Ruff will wrap up things with a closing argument on Thursday.
Doctors are saying that Joe DiMaggio has suffered a serious setback in his battle with lung cancer. Specialists say the Yankee Clipper took a significant turn for the worse while he recovered from lung cancer surgery over the weekend. Doctors say DiMaggio's lung infection has returned and that he has developed a fever. The 84-year-old has been in and out of the hospital since mid-October. Well, tomorrow is the last day of deer season, so many hunters are trying to get their buck before they have to put their guns away.
However, one local hunter went too far and is now apparently in some trouble with the law. And Sabrina Fang is here now with that story. Sabrina?
Well, a Caston hunter with a very happy trigger finger is in big trouble with the law tonight. He shot at a deer decoy from his car. State environmental conservation officers set up a mechanical deer on Palmer Road in Schodack yesterday, trying to crack down on illegal deer hunters, and it worked. Police say Alfred Maxwell of Miller Road drove by and fired off 3 rounds at the robo-deer from inside his car.
We receive complaints from private property owners where they're having this type of problems, and we'll bring the decoy in to address those problems to get a few of the bad apples that are out there that are doing the road hunting illegally.
The conservation officers hide out near the robo-deer waiting for a hunter to fire some shots. When they do, they are caught on the spot. Miller pled guilty and is charged with several violations and is ordered to pay a $55,000 fine. And he was in trouble with the DEC earlier and lost his license in a previous run-in with them.
How long have they had this mechanical deer?
I don't think it's a recent innovation. I think they've had it for a while, and they try to use it as much as they can to avoid these people from doing illegal acts.
And this guy shot 3 bullets at him?
Three shots, didn't know it was a fake deer until he got caught.
And the idea is they're shooting from the car?
From the car. They're not allowed to shoot from a car or from the road.
Yeah.
There's probably a pretty good reason for that, wouldn't you think,
Not
Sabrina?
much sympathy for that guy.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sabrina. You might think local ski resorts would be singing the blues over the lack of white stuff on the slopes and the preponderance of green grass and warm temperatures. Well, while many ski slopes in New York, Vermont, and Massachusetts are closed because of this unseasonably warm weather, Jiminy Peak in Massachusetts is open. The lifts are just closed. The season usually starts after Thanksgiving, but operators aren't throwing in the towel just yet. They say if the white stuff comes down as late as Christmas week, they'll be in the black.
Before Christmas week, the vacation week of Christmas week, we do really between 5 and 7% of our total business for the ski season, so it really isn't significant.
Ski resorts are poised to make snow just as soon as the temperatures fall low enough, which is already happening.
Yeah, whether we like it or not, the colder weather is on its way, as we've known it would be all this time. We've been enjoying the warm weather.
We knew that?
We knew that.
Oh, we knew that. Just
You
how
did
cold.
too.
I knew it. Meteorologist Steve LaPointe in for Neal Estano now with our first look at a real change.
Definitely a change. If you've been outside just within the last couple of hours, you notice temperatures dropping. Not cold, but certainly cooler. Earlier today, though, some pretty big records fell across the Northeast. We'll quickly check those out. Some all-time record highs, especially in New England. Look at Providence, Rhode Island, coming in today at 77 degrees. Boston, 76. Hartford, 76. Worcester, 72, feeling more like June. Albany even broke a record at 9:44 this morning at 65 degrees, breaking the old record of 63. But temperatures are cooling down. We've had that strong west to northwesterly wind. It's been driving heading in the more seasonable temperatures. Still, though, we're averaging above normal. Temperatures now around the Capital District in the upper 40s, still close to 60 in Poughkeepsie, but even there, the temperatures will fall. Now, the interesting part of the forecast is not the cooling trend, but it's an area of low pressure which will be developing down in here over the next 12 hours and then riding northward. At the same time, chillier air coming south out of Canada will meet it, and that is going to lead to a rather raw day coming up tomorrow with a mixture of rain, sleet, and even some wet snowflakes developing, especially for some of the higher elevations. So we will be getting a taste of reality. Not a great Tuesday coming up, but after that, things should be turning a bit more tranquil and more like they should for this time of the year. We'll have your complete forecast coming up in just a few more minutes. Brad and Liz?
All right, Steve, thanks.
Been a nice run, though.
Yeah, it has.
We've liked it. We're going to see how the traffic's moving along Capital Region roadways, and traffic reporter Michelle Adams is with us this Monday.
Thanks, Liz. Right now, there are a couple of cars broken down that you want to watch out for. One on I-90 westbound right near exit 5A, and one on the Northway northbound as you're approaching the Twin Bridges, and the usual volume delays from exit 7 to the Twin Bridges, 787 and the Thruway traveling fine. This Channel 6 News traffic report brought to you by the best takeout restaurant in town, your nearby Grand Union. Brad and Liz?
All right, Michelle, thanks. Prices at the pump are hitting record lows. Just ahead, we'll look at what's driving gas prices down.
And an area teen takes a pledge to recycle and ends up with a trip for 4 to Disney World. We'll tell you how she pulled it off.
There's concern in the Siena camp tonight after one of the Saints is diagnosed with a heart problem.
You're watching Liz Bishop, Brad Holbrook, and meteorologist Neal Estano. This is Channel 6 News at 5.
And around our region tonight, a local girl wins a trip to Disney World after helping clean up the environment.
And Capital Region drivers, you're going to like this, are paying less when they fill up at the pump. Jack Arneke joins us now from the newsroom with more. Jack?
Oh, I can tell you, Brad and Liz, filling up this weekend was one of my more pleasant experiences, and that doesn't happen often. Gas prices have hit the bottom, and they could stay there for a while. The average retail price around the country was just over $1.04 a gallon, and that figure is down just 2 cents, just over 2 cents a gallon from 2 weeks ago. Around our area, consumers were paying as little as 95 cents at the pump. Officials say the price appears to have bottomed out after a year of faltering demand in economies hit by financial woes and the oil glut. The leaders of 2 local colleges met today to introduce a new innovative program to help prepare future teachers for their role at the head of the class. Siena College President Father Kevin Mackin and Russell Sage President Gene Neff signed an agreement which would allow students in the undergraduate Siena teaching program an easier transition into the Russell Sage graduate program. The 2 educators say the new policy will give area teachers a better chance to make the grade.
I'm so happy. I can't believe that I won.
Amanda Wheelis, and that was her reaction, Amanda Wheelis' reaction when she found out that she was going to Disney World. The Schenectady High School student was the grand prize winner in a statewide recycling program. Amanda was one of 75,000 students statewide who agreed to take a recycling pledge and to push for the buying of recycled products and packages. The names of 66 students were drawn from a pool of recyclers, and Amanda was the lucky one. She gets to go home and tell Mom and Dad, hey, guess what? I'm going to Disney World.
Her and those guys that win the Super Bowl, I guess, are about the only ones that get to say that, huh?
I guess so.
Wow. I don't know if she had it easier to get there or not. That's a tough thing.
Straight ahead, some health concerns tonight. Sideline a Siena College basketball star.
And she was hoping to hit the jackpot, but she was arrested for stealing lotto tickets instead.
And it's a construction project that's out of this. Take you to outer space to check in on NASA's International Space Station when we come back.
And now, your Storm Team 6 forecast with meteorologist Steve LaPointe.
And before we get to weather, we want to take you live to the space shuttle, which is now constructing the second part of that space station up there. You see the astronauts out doing their spacewalk. A lot of hours of spacewalking will be involved as this space station becomes a reality over the next several years. The American and Russian parts got linked up over the weekend. Very exciting picture there.
Very
I think this is one of the most difficult tasks they've ever performed on a spacewalk. And for a while, they weren't doing that many spacewalks, and that's why all of a sudden this has become harder for them because they haven't had a lot of practice at it. But it's pretty, or the, that's enough.
On to weather now.
On to weather. I'm sorry. I just think it's so fascinating. I wonder if we'll be around for that space station.
I hope
Steve,
so.
there's your
Yeah.
intro.
I'll be around.
All right.
Me too.
All right, then I'll be here.
Something tells me I probably shouldn't have gone there. Let's completely switch gears and talk about our record-breaking temperatures. Once again, we set a record high temperature at Albany. This is the 4th such record we've set this month, but the streak is over. We're getting back to reality, and in fact, a cold taste of reality, I think, coming in during the day tomorrow with a little storm system, which will affect us with even some frozen precipitation. Right now, though, it's still really not bad out there. It's not cold by any stretch of the imagination. 48 degrees at Albany. The record high this morning was 65 degrees, so there's been a steady decline in temperatures today, but temperatures haven't been falling all that sharply. West-northwesterly winds have been strong. They gusted this morning and early this afternoon up over 40 miles an hour, but have been diminishing now out of the west-northwest at 13, pressure 30.07, and the barometer continues to rise. Warmest weather now being pushed out to sea. Boston still 63. Same at Providence, 63 at New York City. Philadelphia right now 71 degrees. But again, it's the cooler air that is winning out with that west-northwesterly wind flow. 45 at Utica, 43 at Syracuse, 41s from Burlington to Watertown to Rochester. So temperatures will continue to very gradually fall this evening through the 40s, and we'll end up in the 30s overnight tonight. You can see that contrast. It's even more dramatic along the eastern seaboard. Temperatures all-time records in central and eastern New England, down through the mid-Atlantic, upper 70s, some 80s today over the Carolinas, but again, this is being pushed out to sea. Notice, though, the purple up here in Canada. That's some real cold air, but still, the jet stream is not going to allow this exceptionally cold air to move southward, so we're going to be moderate the next few days. No real cold air coming in, just temperatures back should be, and that'll be low 40s with the exception of tomorrow. And tomorrow's tricky because we do have this area of rain here. This first batch should go out to our south, but there will be another area of low pressure developing, and that one will spread some rain into the area during the day tomorrow. And it will just be marginally cold enough, so we'll see a little sleet, maybe even some wet snowflakes mixed in even here in the Capital District. Right now, though, this, again, getting sheared out with the jet stream. Most of it will pass to our south overnight tonight, but we will stay mostly cloudy and wake up to clouds tomorrow. Then the low pressure system tracks up the front. We will see a cold rain developing during the morning and early afternoon, mixed again with some sleet. And the farther north you go, the colder it will be, so a higher chance there'll even be some wet snowflakes mixed in. Temperatures tomorrow only in the middle and upper 30s with a raw northeasterly wind, so not a pretty day, but the system fairly fast moving. By Wednesday morning, the clouds will be departing. High pressure will be building in, so we're looking at some nice weather for both Wednesday and Thursday, with temperatures topping out about where they should be in the lower 40s. So overall, things looking pretty good, with again the exception of tomorrow. Temperatures again not getting overly cold. For tonight, low about 30 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Winds will continue to diminish and shift into the north. Tomorrow, again, looks like a downright miserable day. Cloudy, cold, raw. There will be a mixture of light rain and sleet developing, even some wet snowflakes locally, not out of the question. Middle and upper 30s for high temperatures. Wednesday, though, it changes again. It looks pretty good. A cloudy start. We'll end the day with mostly sunny skies and temperatures around 42. And here's a check on your extended forecast. Not bad Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Temperatures seasonable. Highs near 40, lows in the 20s. Brad and Liz?
Somehow has lost its luster, though, after this heat wave, literally.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, hasn't it?
Oh, it has.
All right, on to other things. In tonight's Channel 6 Health Report, the president vowing to crack down on Medicare fraud.
And some medical concerns for a Siena basketball player. Sue Nigra is here with more on these stories and others. Hi, Sue.
Hello, Brad. Hello, Liz. Siena point guard and senior co-captain Melvin Freeney has found himself faced with a challenge off the court, and it has to do with his heart. On Friday, Freeney was taken out of the game at Marist College after not feeling right. The initial diagnosis at the gym was dehydration, but after more physical problems during practice, Freeney was taken to the hospital. There, doctors discovered he's suffering from pericarditis, an inflammation of the membrane covering the heart. Freeney is off the court indefinitely while awaiting more test results. Coming up at 6 o'clock, Doug Sherman will have much more on the story, including reaction from the Siena coach. Also in health news, the president says he wants to put an end to wasteful spending within the Medicare system. President Clinton has unveiled a package of legislative initiatives to help the government save money and crack down on Medicare fraud and abuse.
Today, I'm announcing additional steps to strengthen Medicare by fighting the threat of Medicare fraud. Every year, Medicare is cheated out of billions of dollars, money that translates into higher taxes on working Americans, higher co-payments and premiums for elderly Medicare recipients.
Details of the plan include eliminating markups in the prices Medicare pays for drugs, preventing providers from billing Medicare for services not provided, and requiring private insurers to notify Medicare when they cover a claim. If enacted, Clinton says the government could save upwards of $2 billion a year. We'll send it back to Liz and Brad.
Okay, Sue, thanks. And Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho wasn't a hit when it first came out, but up next we'll tell you if the remake did any better at the box office.
And here's a role that'll melt your heart or someone's heart. Dandy Nicola talks to actor Michael Keaton about his role as a snowman in the new holiday movie Jack Frost.
I'm Kelly Bowen. Tonight in Family's First, some great gift ideas for the preschooler on your list. That's stories tonight on Channel 6 News.
Well, here's your answer. Color the new Psycho movie green, very green.
Lots of moolah. The shot-by-shot color remake of Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 black and white terror classic opened in second place over the past weekend. Industry estimates put Psycho's take at about $10.5 million. Disney's computer-animated A Bug's Life, which is not what you're seeing now, led with $17.4 million in ticket sales.
And you're also not seeing the Will Smith thriller Enemy of the State, but that did come in third place. It was followed by the Rugrats movie and the Waterboy.
Well, the Waterboy,
hanging in there.
He's hanging in.
He's got, if he was ever dehydrated, he is no longer.
Waterboy's got legs. As he proved in Beetlejuice and Batman, Michael Keaton seems to have a knack for fantasy characters.
The former Mr. Mom is at it again. He's playing a snowman in a new holiday movie, and Dandy Nicola talks to him about Jack Frost.
In Jack Frost, Michael Keaton plays a busy father, a road musician who perishes in an accident and then comes back as a snowman to make amends.
You know, I was thinking about this almost like paternal guilt that kind of is over this movie.
Right. Good guilt, though, right?
Guilt over not being the dad you think you should have been.
Charlie's gonna score his first goal and you won't see it. Just like you never saw him with the measles.
I sense with, I don't know, a generation, say from, you know, what we might call the baby boomer generation.
Yeah.
More guilt than I've ever seen in fathers.
There's a lot of losers out there should feel guilty.
You think so, huh?
Right, there's a lot of deadbeats around. A lot of guys who aren't being responsible, yeah.
Fact is, Michael Keaton, who once played Mr. Mom, has some pretty strong ideas about families.
Women for a long time didn't want to feel domestic if they had a natural inclination because they thought it wasn't the correct thing, as opposed to saying, it's what I like, it makes me happy. It's very courageous for women.
And as a dad himself, Keaton says sometimes he feels the same paternal guilt as his character does.
Occasionally you're going to go, oh man, I should have done this, or I should be there right now. I mean, and I'm pretty good. Truthfully, I'll be really honest with you. I'm real happy about the way I parent.
You can't be a parent without screwing up somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
From New York, Dandy Nicola, Channel 6 News.
However, you can be a snowman.
Yeah, it seems like it, but maybe he adopts a more personable attitude.
Does he? Yeah, he seemed kind of cranky in that interview, didn't he? Yeah,
yes.
just a little bit. Not very holiday spirited at all.
No.
Well, maybe things get better. Sue Nagar joins us now for a look at what's next on Channel 6 News at 5:30.
Well, Liz, coming up next, isolated incidents or a sign of the times. In tonight's cover story, Ken Screven looks at bias-related crimes. Plus, dressing for success in space. We'll show you what the shuttle astronauts must wear to get the job done.